Hi. Thank you for coming out, and it was so cute that you did the applause. You haven't seen anything yet, so you may change your mind again. So we'll let you do that. I have, for those of you who are interested, I've been a member of PSNM Mexico for a long time. I think I'm a signature member as well. I'm fairly certain I am. That's just as an aside. If you would like to get on a mailing list or whatever, I'll pass this around, and you can use an honorable alias if you'd like, so there we go with that. We'll just pass that bugger around. I've also got, I harass all my students with what I call a 10-step program. And occasionally over the years, I called it a 12-step program, and then I found out I probably shouldn't do that. We went back to a 10-step program, so that's what I'm doing now. And among the things, and I'll talk about one or two of them here when I'm getting started. So I'm going to pass this bookmark around. I hope there's enough. If there isn't, you guys can mud wrestle in the back for whoever needs it. But you'll see I'm going to start with step number 1, and then if I can remember what the heck the steps are, I'll go to the next step. So we'll see how that goes. I have show and tell in here. These are demos and plein air. There's a couple of pieces that are award winners that come out of the frame that need to move on. There's several in here. And I've got, because we asked me to do snow, I brought a couple of snow pieces. These are clear out the studio this summer pieces, and so they're all deeply discounted. If you're interested, and if not, come up, and they're show and tell. Take a look, fondle, make very polite, kind comments, and we'll do all of those. Okay, I'm going to put my fingers on here, and I'm going to get started. One of the first things I'm going to do is, I always start with my why. The why is what nailed you to the ground. You took the photo, you set up the still life, you asked the person to stop moving so you could paint them. Whatever the why is, why did I do this? So that's what I start with, numero uno. The thing about the why, if you don't know where you're going, you have no clue when you get there. I just wrote a blog article this summer for PS West Coast. And it had to do with, are we there yet? Because everybody wants to know, when is the painting done? Well, the painting's done when you get to where you were going. And this is how I know where I was going. 2, 3 words, that's all you get. And so on this guy, I'm going to say my why. My why is the snow shadows. Now, I know I write an abbreviate here, I'll do an OW. I do abbreviations, and with any luck, at some point, if somebody asks me what the heck does that mean, I'll even remember. So there we are, we got that guy. Don't do that. I also do a little value study. I heard a no, and I'm like, okay, little value study. Here we are with this guy who's not going to stay up. Anyway, so I've got this. I'm going to take it down so I can see it and not have to do 3 hands. Okay, like that. I always decide, where's my middle? It needs to be the same ratio as this, or the shapes don't count. You get this lovely thing you've got going, and then you're doing it on a piece of paper.
Please turn off your ring.
I was worried it was mine, which does it all the time. So if in fact you're doing it on a piece like that, or a piece that's this big, this doesn't matter so much because you've got something totally different going on. So this guy, I've got this going, and I know that my darkest darks are up here, kind of going like this, and when I squint, I have a medium dark shape that comes down here, and it does this, and it comes down here, and it goes to there. And it comes down here like this. Now, when I squint, I can't really see this little thing. Oh, by the way, I spare no expense for you all. So here it is. But see, I took the photo. You don't want to use somebody else's reference material because, other than giving it to your mother-in-law, you can't use it. So I took the photo. I know what it looked like. So even if it's kind of a skanky photo, I know what it looked like. Okay, so I know that I've got a thing coming in over here, and then this guy kind of does this. So this shape is here. This guy is the darkest dark. So I just do a big, simple shape with the darkest dark. I've got a simple shape here with a medium value, and that's my thumbnail, okay? By the way, thumbnail and value study are not identical things, but I use the phrases interchangeably because I'm not clever enough to keep them straight. So if I use the same words, pretend that they're all the same thing. So I've got this guy here, and I'm going to stick it over here. When I get done with this dude, the values should be pretty much the same because I did this like in 35 seconds, but at home, I will think about where is that shape moving? Where are my darks? Do I have something that's kind of spotty? I will think about it. I'll do all my, look, it's crooked. I will do my revisions and my thinking at this stage. If I have to do that 4 times, that's way cheaper, easier, and faster than doing it here 4 times, right? Now, none of us have ever, taken these things and had to start over, I know. But just in case you ever get the urge to have to start over, that's one of the things that will happen to you. Okay, let's put this guy up. Oh, we took out a camera. So, there you go. I'm going to put this guy right here. So, now, I get everybody going with what I call a storyboard. Any of you ever worked in publishing or in film? They're big on storyboards. You've got a film going on. You'll have a storyboard that goes all the way around this room, little bitty images, and that's every scene in the movie, one by one, so they can see it. I have, it might be in this portfolio, more of these images. So I've started off, and one of the first things I did, I decided my why, I did a value study, and then so that you guys can see, because the most important structure going on, those nice, simple geometric shapes. Everything is geometry. That's what it is. Everything is an abstract. So I went in here and I decided, I do need to move. There you go. Step number 3, by the way, is pulled palette. Okay? So that's what I did. And then so you guys can see where I was coming from, I decided where my major shapes are. So I've got this shape here, then I've got this shape that comes down here like this, and then I did a couple of intersecting shapes. Now ordinarily, you see they're not on here, so ordinarily I would not do those, but I wanted you guys to see kind of where I was thinking of going. Okay. I don't do this for every painting, but I know it helps sometimes give people a chance to see. So now to speed up the program, because I have 45 minutes left, to speed up the program, I have done watercolor underpainting. I teach a little workshop on 5 ways to start a painting. Actually, there's more than that. But we do 5 ways, and it's so much fun with the pastel people because we have more options. Because I've done it with just a watercolor group, and they're like, well, okay, fine, what's number 3? And I'm like, well, if you were doing pastels like intelligent people, you'd have number 3. Of course, I didn't say that too loudly. Okay, so what I did was I came in here and I kind of blocked in sort of a general. You can see how these shapes relate to what I started with, because I did this, and then that tells me where these guys are going to go. And then I went through and I pulled the palette, and I'm talking really fast because I'm under the gun here. And you guys know this isn't going to be finished, don't you? All of you. Everybody nods. Yes. Yes, we do. Thank you. Okay. And so I have pulled a palette. They're kind of sitting in here. I'll start pulling them out as I get going. Wow. I love the finger cuts. when I first started using these, it was a little distracting for some people. But I love the finger cuts because if I wear a glove and one of the fingers gets torn, the glove goes. And so I thought, well, this way the finger goes and the rest of it stays here. Okay, there's that. We don't need this. I do have a portfolio up here. There's stuff in here on classes and workshops. You're welcome to come up and flip through. This goes to those guys. I'll move that. And there we are. And now we get started. I tend to work. Make sure you all can see. How's that? Everybody can see? Okay. I tend to work top down, back forward. All right. Where's my pastel here? So. I've done pink underneath here because I really like the way the sky, in the winter, and you get that lovely undertone. I will come back in and block in these sky holes in a little bit, but just not right now. So let's get some of this in here. And I am totally serene at this stage if it isn't completely covered or something else, but I don't remember what else. So if we're not covered, and it isn't all totally blended, because those are things that happen in the next stage. First stage, as you guys saw, was to get, First stage is to get the general block in, so these big shapes. So there's a big shape. This is going to be a shape down here, and this guy's actually going to be a little smaller. Whoops, wrong one. Oh, I'll change it later. Okay, and now I've got... Remember, this is my darkest dark. So I'm going to get this in here. It doesn't have to follow that tree line. This is what we call a reference. Everybody remember the reference? I was a photographer, and I knew that if what I really wanted was to see that exact thing, then that meant that I would just blow the photo up and frame it. Okay, so I'm establishing this whole dark line. I want it to be cool shapes that are going to be in the back there. I want them to have some personality. So I'm sticking some of this in here, like a so. So that's that guy. And, wait a minute. And then,
Diane, what pastels do you like best?
oh, thank you. I don't. But thank you for asking. Who asked? Thank you, honey. I love that. I don't have a favorite. Actually, that's not true. If I could only have 2 sets of pastels, I would have Ludwig's and Giroux. So there are Ludwig's. Terry was an old painting buddy of mine.
What paper are you working with?
This is, I think it's a U-Art. And if it is, it's a 400. Okay. And all I did was mount it to foam core, or since this is a demo piece, it's probably on foam core. Okay, so now I've kind of got this dark. See, now because it's the darkest dark, it doesn't have to be black, it doesn't have to be the same color. It just needs to be a darker value than any place else on the painting. So now then, just to make life simpler for myself, by the way, I'm not going to put any white anywhere on this painting because we don't need white for the snow. It's probably a little more than that one. So let's put a bluish light. And if I use the phrase light instead of the color, happiness reigns forever. Okay, so we got that. Now, where this snow drips over onto faces the light source.
Diane, there's a question from the Zoom. What do you usually mount the paper to?
If it's For demos and stuff, I'll use a foam core, but I don't use foam core really anymore because I do wet and underpaintings, whether it's turp or water media or whatever, alcohol, whatever it is I decide to do, and the foam core buckles and goes blah, 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 turns into a wet piece of bread, right? So what I'll do is I will get gator board. Gator board. So this guy, I think, is on a piece of foam core. But when you have to ship them off to shows and all that blah, 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 it does get a little bit more challenging. So, okay, what I have in here, I have pink and blue and yellow. And those are my whites. And I've got a little space up here. Make sure that my head's not in the way. I've got a little space up here where I've got a little thing. I'm going to push this in just a hair and then let it drop off so that I don't have just one whole side. Now, when I squint to do the value study, I can't see it. So when I come back, I will differentiate that little bitty space. But otherwise, I'm looking for big, simple shapes in there. Okay, I've got a little of that pink coming forward. So there we go. We've got some of that. And then I also have kind of a grayish white. By the way, up here, don't use a piece of white paper, y'all, because if it's not the same color as your base, you can do marky all day long and it won't look the same as it does here. So don't do that. I mean, pretend this isn't here. Okay. Let's see.
Diane?
Yes.
I have an idiot question. Is what you're working on your color study, or is it your final?
Gosh, I don't know how to answer that. Do you mean when the painting gets done, will this be a color?
I'm being real literal, man. You're looking down this, and there's.
Oh my
color study.
God,
So
she
where's-
read it. I got this. Thank you, honey. We'll be on the exam. The color study number 4, step 4, the color study is really kind of optional. If this was going to be a bigger painting, then this could be the color study. But otherwise, oil painters are taught all the time, do the color study. I'm talking and shifting here. Do the color study because that way you can tell. For an oil painter, this is a little tiny color study. For us, this could be like a real piece. So we're totally happy with this dude. Okay. Pardon me while I try to have my brain join the rest of my body here. That was a very good question. Thank you. I want some of that atmospheric perspective back there. I'm going to have a little bit of it in here when I get up in here. I'm watching the time. Someone let me know when I've got 35 seconds and I should panic. So I'm remembering that you get a lot of that atmospheric perspective as these paintings go back and forth. Okay, here's mucho better. And going back with the atmospheric perspective is we end up with a lot of, actually what happens is the yellow falls out, is the genuine technical term for what happens with atmospheric perspective. And so when I did do this yellowy blue, this turquoise, if you will, blue back in there so that I could pick up that sky color, and I'm going to have a little bit more of that in here. So let's get this guy going, and this is kind of a reddish. When I get a little closer, I'll pick a blue that's a little more neutral. Hi. But it's not that one. Hi.
What do you mean by neutral?
Neutral is stuff that lends itself not toward really saturation, one color or the other. It's more in the middle, like kind of grade. It's has a lot of the saturation kicked out of it, so I can take an orange.
Can you call it mid-value, or is that?
No, value is a different gig.
See, that's, yeah, okay.
Yeah, value is a different thing. Neutral has to do with the chroma.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you, I'll think on that. Give me your-
Let me know what the answer is when we get there. Thank you so much. So I want to push, I've got a space in here, and I want to shove it down inside the ground so that other stuff comes up. So I'm going to push that down a little bit along this little pond here. I'm going to push this guy down just a little. And you can see when I slopped on a little bit of the underpainting. By the way, the nice thing about an underpainting is it does allow you to cover up the white or the dark or whatever the color of the paper is that you're using. It allows you to cover a bunch of that up so that when you get this going in here, you don't have all that white speckly jazz. White speckly jazz, makes your head swim. Okay, so this guy back here. Now, as I'm coming forward, I would like, it's the wrong color note. And you are going to be the wrong color note too, aren't you? Oh no, I like you. I like you. Okay, fine.
So Diane, you said you choose your palette ahead of time? So
Yes.
the paper you have up there, you've had some colors, but then you're also adding as you go?
No, these guys, I've had them set because I've only got an hour. Well, actually, I've only got, oh my God, 38 minutes. No, I pull these. Now, that's step number 3. The first 3 steps on my bookmark, I can't tell you how many people, oops, I lost my train of thought. How many people that has really made a difference, like me to start with, is knowing where you're going. And I used to be, Lord love a duck, I was, one of, like all the rest of us, I had a brush, and I had a canvas, and I was, by God, ready to paint. And I just started slopping and carrying on. And if it looked like anything when I got done, heaven forbid it would look a little like the subject. I was thrilled to the bottom of my feet. I was so excited. But if it turned out, I couldn't figure out how or why or how to do it again, which I thought was a little disruptive. So I started doing planning. And like I said, I can spend 45 minutes or God knows however long we're thinking. Getting this going. And if it doesn't work out here, then I haven't wasted a whole painting. And when it does, and I sit down to do the painting, this painting has already been working in my head. Let's do some scumbling in here because I want to know where that reflection is going to come down. So I'm going to get a bit of this reflection, which is not going to be so vibrant. And I'm going to get a bit of this reflection right in here. So I'm just going to scumble that in there. And if I pull the palette ahead of time, I know that everybody that's here in the playground plays well together. I don't have, you ever do a painting and then you look up and where in the world did that holy moly green come from? I don't have anything else in the painting that's got that color. So that means I might be in deep caca. Caca poo poo. All right. I've got kind of a general feel going here. This is an awfully strong line. I didn't make it that strong in there, so let's fix that line. Since I'm in the neighborhood, hello. And this is one of the things I used for that. How about if we lift that line just a little bit right in there, Yeah, that feels a little more comfortable. Okay, fine. I'm good with that. You know, and down here, I've got some of this coming forward. This is a creamy color here, and so I'm sort of doing a soft little bluish scumble so that I'm going from the back to the front. I'm doing this nice transition coming forward. Kind of got that going on. Okay. What have we got? What have we got? Oh, look at that. Oh, all right. Okay. So if I did the first 3 steps of planning the painting, and I go through this, I know where I'm going. So when the train gets there, I know when to stop. I know what my structure is, so I don't have to figure that out on the way. And I think this is that same thing. Nope, I don't want that. Hello, Mario. There you are. So this isn't a guessing game. It's the guessing game thing that just drove me wacko. And I couldn't quite handle it. Okay, let's pull. I love this warm note in here, so I'm going to pull it up. This blue isn't as vibrant as those. It's a little more neutral. So let's get some of that blocked in. I got this. I love that warm note underneath. I love that warm note in here. Got that going.
Another question.
Yes, ma'am.
With your layering, you do add vibrancy though, to neutral colors. Is that part of what you're doing when you layer?
Yes and no, because I'll do it both ways.
Okay.
Sometimes I just lay it down and there it is. And then I'll come back and I'll do a little touch up. And it might be the reverse. I might have put a more neutral and then pop it. So it just depends on how it is the painting is going together.
Is it how the light's hitting the subject that dictates that, or?
If I have a light hitting,
Or how the light's hitting it, which way you layer it, which?
sometimes, and other times it's, how I got up that morning.
Okay.
I mean, it's terribly scientific, right? Okay. Push that a little. I'm going to pull this in a little because that's just a little too much. So now I'm toning this down just a hair, and I don't like this shape, so I'm going to use this snow color here. I'm going to pull it up, crunch that in just a little. So let's tidy up that line. Let's take this snow shadow. I think that's going to be too dark. Hello. And I've got a little bit of snow shadow that I'm going to pull up through here. So I have a little more movement in the painting. And then I've got this. I'm going to pull that down in through here. And I don't want it as dark as what I've got down here in the hole. I need to get this put in here, and this needs to be a little darker, kind of sunk down in the hole down here. So let's pull this in. So I'm thinking about, as the curve happens, what's above the curve, what's face up and face down. The planes of the surface, it's a huge, important thing. Which way everybody is facing to the sky, facing down, facing to the light source, not facing to the light source. Okay, let's adjust this because it's looking a little bit boring. So let's make it slightly more interesting and get it blocked in. Somebody tell me when the 30 minutes mark. Please.
Somebody told you what?
When I hit 30 minutes.
Still got 2 minutes to go.
2 minutes? Oh. Not a problem. We're totally serene. Look at us. Okay, now that I've got the values, can you see the value? This is all this value. That is that darker value. This is this lighter value. And this is just a hair dark. I'm going to lighten it up just a bit because my lightest values is this guy and this guy. So as you can see these shapes, boinka, boinka, boinka. and then this little sweep across there. When I get the block in done, my values should be the same because I made decisions when I did this value study. And now I'm coming in and you asked, well, and then do you put it on top or on the bottom? And boy, that's a great question. Wow, I really like your question. If I knew the answer, I would tell you what the answer was. And I had a little nip here in the middle, so let's work on that nip a little bit, and let's get this guy anchored just a little bit more so that it'll run down into this hole. And I can see in here that I have a little space, and maybe I'll pull that up just a hair. I'm going to come back and fix that. This, and I'm going to take, I love that.
Diane, the photo was quite a bit darker,
I know.
and I want to see how you darken it.
You're not gonna.
I'm not going
You
to.
aren't going to.
No. Painting isn't going to be this dark. Remember what I said about how, how lovely and professional my photos were? I want you all to appreciate my photos. And what I do is if I come out here with a really bad photo and then I do this, everybody goes, wow. See? So that's what I'm looking for. I'll let you know when the wow moment arrives, okay?
Diane?
Yes, ma'am.
While you're interrupted, when you get to one of those muttering stages, would you mutter a little louder?
Oh, I'm sorry. I could mutter. I do have a microphone. Hello. You may not want to hear what I have to say. That's so cute of you. I love it. Thank you.
So do
Okay.
you talk to yourself in your studio?
I don't. I do not, but I know that people don't, people are like, yeah, I could watch it on YouTube and I don't have to listen to anybody. But what, do you have any clue what you're doing? And the answer, of course, of course I don't have any clue what I'm doing. But I can tell you what I think I'm doing, which is about as good as we're going to get here. Okay, let's finish up this sky. That's a little too light. This was a little too dark. But let's just kind of blend it down in. I want that vibrant. This is midwinter. This, by the way, is a little pond that is right outside Jack Richardson's factory. His building is right there. Right next to his parking lot, there was this thing, and I'm driving past, and I'm going, oh, click, 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 So anyway, there was that. Okay.
So in the photo, it is hard for me to tell. Is there actual water or is that all snow?
There is a little pond here.
Okay.
And I love that little pond, so I put it down here where I can find it. With any luck, you guys will be able to find it as well. Let's push that over there. Let's give this a little reflection from the snow. We have some snow bouncing around in here. So let's get a little snow reflection. This will be reflecting down into there, so let me get a tiny touch of a little bit of a blue. Oops. And I'm going to scumble that in there so that, and same thing over here. Let's get that in there. So now as I'm working through the painting, I'm trying to refine edges, get this to be, and then she talks and stops and she's thinking about it. Here, cute, goes there. I'll get one of these. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, how are we doing? I've got to get this guy up here, and I've got too much of a little blurb right there. So let's fix that little blurb. I would like it if that didn't have such a bump.
So you call what you're doing right now detail work?
Yeah, I'm attempting to refine edges And some of these things, you know, like back in here, I'm pretty much done. And I'm going to, with a little luck, I'm going to stop mucking around with it. Okay, so that's those, and this is this, and this is this. All right, how are we doing? So the back is, let's finish the back, and then we'll get back to the snow. Hi there. I really loved it when I had this wonderful warm note. So let's lay in some more of that warm note. And then it needs some more of the dark. These will be behind, so I don't have to get too neurotic about what they're supposed to look like. I can always come back. You know, it's not done until it's hanging on somebody's wall. So I can always get to it. And
So when you were looking at your photo and choosing your palette, painting your colors, you were visualizing more fall color in the trees,
yes,
turquoise sky, et cetera, et cetera. It's amazing you got there from that photo, but that's what you do before you start painting. You mentally visualize
yes,
how to improve your photo.
where I hope to end up. You know, I've got a why, and I'm developing this. I'm just going to lay that in there so I can put in some background, and then I'll come back. This is pretty scumbly at the moment, and I would refine it more, given more time. But yes, when I took the photo, I saw the painting. And often when I take the photo, I have a title, you know. And then when I end up someplace else, I'm like, who knew? You know, so there it was. But yeah, and I know that you guys can't see because it's a crummy photo and you're back there. But there is, when I get finished, you'll see that there are more autumny notes in these trees and stuff. This was, October, November, something like that. And so I want to pull that out because that gives me a nice complementary color scheme, which amuses me more than I can even begin to describe. Let's see, what color is this?
So that's another good reason to take your own photos, right? So that
Oh,
you saw the scene and you remember the colors and...
You know, it's funny because as a juror, you can tell some, well, for one thing, they've plagiarized it. People who use calendars and things out of books and magazines and stuff like that because they're copying, and I don't feel like the artist has arrived. So, you know, you don't really feel like the artist's fingerprint is included in this because they aren't married to what's going on. They're trying to interpret what somebody else had going on.
You didn't use a complimentary underpainting, did you?
You know, I covered it up. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
When do you use a complimentary one, and why?
I'll use a complimentary one when I get lucky, and that's what I put in there. So and that's a very flip answer, but my answer is that I'm thinking about what the finished painting is going to be.
So it's your experience and no particular reason combined.
Yeah, sorry.
I know.
You know, if I had some brilliant, if I had some really brilliant scientific thing to tell you, I would.
Thank you.
Oh, don't thank me. I was of no help whatsoever. Was I? Okay, so now I've got a whole bunch of that orangey stuff going on. I pulled some of it down here. I put a little bit of it in here. I have the incredible urge to do a little more, and I really shouldn't do that, should I? Nope, I shouldn't do that. So let's leave that alone. Okay, I'm done with this for a while. Just for snicks and grins, since I'm in the neighborhood, I'm going to go ahead and put in a couple of these things so that you guys can at least have a reference point. That's way too dark. Hello. You I hate. You're out. Goodbye. Okay, that's way too dark. Okay, so let's do something not quite that dark. And I don't want it to be quite that straight. I'd like it to be a suggestion. Now remember, these are in the background, so I was right. I hate this. You I hate. Stop. I hate you. Okay, there we go. I've loosened it up a little bit. If I had more time, I would come back and fix that a little bit better, but we're going to get a bunch of this in here. Now this guy comes in kind of about there, so let's give him a start. Something like this. And then I've got another one, and right about here. Something like that. And then these guys have, now, resist the urge as I'm doing it. Resist the urge to draw in every tree branch. This is not about the tree branches. This is not about the trees. I can suggest a lot of stuff. Doesn't have anything to do with the dumb trees. And you guys, with a little bit of luck, will go, oh, okay, that must be a bank of trees back in there. And so all I got to do is kind of get you going in that direction, and I win. Okay, let's get this guy, let's get the bottom of that, and the bottom of this, and now let's come in here, and this dude, I'm give it a little shape in here. Okay, these guys are ending up in the same place, and they're the same width, so let's stop that. So you can see, after I got the general block in, now what I'm doing is I'm thinking about what's in place, what should be there, how is it playing out, and this is not necessarily the final thingy dude, but it's a start, and it's a thing to get going here. So let's pull this kind of in here, and if I do something like that and that, everybody will go along with that, won't we? Yes! Absolutely. I know this guy's got a little thing going on, and then there's a thing there, and there's somebody else right in here. Let's suggest that they're in the neighborhood. And then this dude, actually this dude I can't always see from about here up. So let's do that. Now, these are really stark. I will come back and adjust them, and one of the ways I will adjust them was I will take some of that, holy frappaloli, too dark, and I'll knock it down a little bit. Okay, and there's 1,000 ways to knock that down. I can use brown. I've got this orange going on, so I'm going to do a little bit of that and suggest that might be the sunlight on the tree trunk. And this guy back here, I'm not going to worry about too much because it's in the back, and I don't care. This guy, I'm going to leave that there. All right, so that's that. Let's finish up back here. Back here in the back, I have a bunch of weeds, grass, lovely winter grasses. So let's give them kind of a place to start. Because they're in the back, when the yellow falls out of all that brown, it has kind of a plummy-ish sort of color note. Okay, so I got that, and I'm going to pull it down here just a little to make that little line a little more interesting. Now, because, whoops, starting to look a little too uniform. We don't want it to look that uniform. Now, back here in the back, the light comes through. You guys can't see it, but I was there and I did see it. As it comes through and does this, there's places in here where it caught a little bit of the sunlight. So I'm going to stick a little thing in there. Gives me an opportunity to bring this down. So that's that coming forward. I'm okay with this color in here. This is getting a little boring. Let's come in here with, hello, where did you go? This sky. I'm going to put a little sky color in here, and I'm going to push a little sky color right there, because this is where I make the transition from the sunlight into the shadow. I've got a lot of sky as the light source, so I'm going to lay a little of that in there like that. Come over here, this guy on this side, This part has some more sky in it. This has a little more sky right in here, but not so much there, so I'm going to leave it alone. Got that going. So that made this corner feel a little more rounded. I'm going to pull it down just a little, and let's flatten that hill out just a tiny bit. And I'll flatten it out by putting a little color in there. And then I want it to drop off pretty fast. Over here, when I'm coming in here, now I'm doing scumbling across the top. And what I don't want to lose some of these warm notes that I put in here because I like them. So let's see if I can keep them in there. And I'm going to pick up just a tiny bit because this is an upplane, and I want to pick up a little of that sky in there. There we go. And as I turn the corner here, the value isn't as light. I've got some violet in there. This guy goes like this. This guy's got a tiny bit of this coming down in here. This guy's here. Oh, wait, let's make this transition here. Okay, this guy's got a little bit in here, but this is a little too strong. So let's knock down some of the strong. How am I doing on time, folks? Time.
15 minutes.
I've got 15 minutes?
Plenty of time.
I love you guys. This is going to be so cool. Now, I talked about neutral. You might not be able to see it back there. This has got a lot of chroma. This does not. So this one that I just put down is slightly grayer, which is an easy way to say neutral. That's not the best definition, but that's an okay way to get it started. So I can get just a little bit right in here to kind of knock that down. I'm also going to use this to pull around right under there. Whoops, what I really need is I need to go back to this
What would
dude.
be a synonym for chroma in the art world?
Chroma. Chroma is like, is it red or blue?
I mean, we've got hues and we've got values.
Oh, I know. And hue is what kind of red?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm trying to, chroma is new to me that you're talking. I mean, I've been confused by all these other terms today, and then chroma is a new one you're throwing at me to not know.
Oh, good. I came up with
Oh
something.
my God.
No, chroma is a little like,
Saturation?
that's the other thing I was going to say with saturation, but I don't want you to get too far afield with that. Value is black or white. Is it light or dark? Hue is it orange red or yellow red? Or, is it a blue red? That's hue, okay?
Like mixes more and how they tend.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
they've all got a gig going on. And then chroma is it blue or is it red? And saturation is how much red. Is it a pale red? Is it a heavy-duty dripping red? Is it a blue that you could pick up and put your fingernails in? Okay, I don't like this shape, so let's fix that shape just a little before it starts heading up there. Okay. You notice I'm not really a rubber, rubbing these so much. That's that. Coming down here, I've got a little spot right in here. When the snow turns the edge here, first thing I want to do is I want to fix this. So let's fix this dude. Hi. Okay, I'm okay with that. Let's do a little of that over here because I would like this section of snow not to just drop into a hole because I got a little too much of that. Okay, now we step back and we go, golly whiz. Okay, we're starting to come along. This isn't totally developed. Everything is sinking. Okay, let's stop the sinking.
What do you mean by sinking?
See this line? And then this line? Everybody's kind of dropping in a hole over here. Let's stop some of that from happening. Okay, now that looks more like a flat line, okay? So I stopped the movement of that curve. This guy, I like this shape up here, and I didn't do, whoops, I need that blue. Where's my blue?
But you still are kind of trying to do a path to lead us back there.
I am, and I've got that.
Yeah.
Remember this little dude? I was really aware that the edge of that shadow, before I put in these extra lines that you guys could see, I had this, and this, and this, and that. This is just a straight up S-curve painting, top to bottom. Nothing sexy about it. That's just what it is. Okey-doke. And because I liked that edge, that was the edge of that shadow. And since this painting is all about the shadow, and I need to pull this up just a little, I could see that happening in there a little bit more. So let's pull that up just a little. Okay, that takes care of some of that drop. And I did a little hump there, that helped with that. Okay, let's getting down in here. I had this lovely color note. What color are you? You're too dark. What did I have? Oh, what was this? Hi. So these guys in here. Now I'm going to start refining some of this stuff as I come forward. And I would really like just a touch in here and up all that warm. Let's pull that warm from back there and put it, the up plane on this section of snow is facing all that warm. So let's do a little of that. This is probably too far down, so I'm going to push it back up just a hair. But now I've got that warm bouncing back and forth. I'm going to do a touch of it in here, because that also gives me a nice little spot right there. And in my photo reference that you guys can't see, as I'm getting this developed, then I will come back and put the dead grasses that are in here as well. What's that one? Got that going. And hi. And in the time, limited time I've got, I won't have, super, super slick finishing going on. But I want to get most of it in place for you. Now, as I turn under this little edge of snow here, hey dear, come up and play. Here we go. So I come down here, I've got a little thing going on with the snow. As I'm turning that corner, I want it, we're further from the light. We don't have sunlight, we don't have bounce light. So, I got a little spot down here. Let's stop it from going out the corner. Let's intercept that corner. Got that guy going on down there. So now I've kind of rolled under. I have a little bit high. What are you? This blue, by the way, is warmer than some of the blues I put in the back. And of course, as you get atmospheric perspective, things get warmer as they come forward. So this is kind of a yellowy, or not yellowy. It's got just a touch more green in it. There we go. So that kind of anchors that edge. Let's finish anchoring this edge in here as it comes around. I do want to end up there, so that's why I've got that darker dark. You go there. Okay, let's come back and stick in. I'm going to put in just a tiny bit. Let's start. Because I can come back and play with this, except for the part right there where I don't like what it looks like. Kind of got that. I've got rolling in. This is a little scumbly. Okay. Got some stuff there. And there's actually a little bit right in here. So I do that. And then I come in, just like in the back, these dried grasses, when they get out of the light, the yellow falls out, and I end up with kind of a pinky sort of color. So let's do some of that. And I don't want too much, because this isn't about those. This is about that snow shadow, but I've got a bunch of action going on here in the snow, and there was actually a teeny bit of it. Let's do that to kind of finish off that edge. Okay, so that's that guy. And then just like in the back, hi, I lost you. There you are. I've got where the sunlight is hitting it. So let's get started with a little bit of sun touching the tips. A little bit like that. We're kind of going boinka, boinka, boinka. We can't have boinka, boinka. So let's fix that. That's a little better. Watch that interval. I didn't like that interval. So let's fill in part of that interval. So it isn't quite so even all the way across. Okay, this guy's a little strong. I will adjust that. This is a little bit of that brown in there. I'm going to adjust that. How am I doing on time?
5 minutes.
10.
You can go a little long if you need to.
I was going to say, she doesn't get to be timekeeper anymore. Okay, I'm backing up again. It would be nice if I saw what it looked like, wouldn't it? Oh, okay. You know, and when you get really to the back, you guys think it looks damn good, right? Don't come up here. It doesn't it's better back there. And I tell my students, you know, go out the door, go stand on the sidewalk, and if you have to, go across the street. Oh my God, it looks so good. Okay. I've only got 5 minutes, and I could do some more tweaking. You all are getting the picture of what's going on. You can see I downplayed this because I needed that so that I could reflect it in here. I'm not totally thrilled with how this is finished up, and I'm going to work on that a little bit more. And actually, while I'm in the neighborhood, I've got a little bit of skylight in here. This, actually, it's an upplane. So an upplane means that I need a little more skylight in it. And the same thing with this dude in here. I'm going to give it just a little more skylight. This in here, where it's gone down underneath, it doesn't get that kind of a skylight in it. And this is the transition. I'm not fond of that transition, so let's fix that transition just a little bit. That's a little better. So I'm busy tweaking. I would clean these guys up, and we're moving along. Any questions? And please don't say, good God, why?
Yeah, I have a question. What's your light source? I am confused. Is it shining on the right side of the painting?
Light source is over here.
Then where's the shadow on those tree trunks?
Which tree trunks? The one on the
Two
ones
on
that
the right.
I haven't. I can put some more in.
I would love it if you would.
Okay, fine. We have a request. You know, I charge extra for this. You do understand that? Now, bear in mind, if I start making these tree trunks really sexy and interesting, you're going to blow past both the snow shadow and my little pondette, and you're going to go over there and go,
I
wow.
just don't understand why trees could have no shadows.
Well, and you're absolutely right. They have a teeny bit, but you're right. I could put some more in, and it's not going to hurt, and so I will do a little bit of that. But do bear in mind, so you get the urge. And that blog I did for PS West Coast this summer, and one of the things I talked about was, what was your why? And if I start making some of this really interesting in the wrong places, it's going to compete.
It's just,
Okay.
those are.
And I talk about, I have these paintings, and boy, the temptation, I've got this thing going on over here in this painting, and I really love it. And then, man, I got a bunch of tree trunks here. I did 2 plein air scenes that I had done. One was about the big lake in the mountains, and then trees. I got there in the morning, the trees, the light was behind them, so I did a painting of the trees. And then after lunch, the light changed totally. I said, I want to pick up the hazy blue. So now we're going to do that, but those trees are still there. Boy, the temptation to come in there and make those trees, I had just painted them. I'm like, oh, we're very simpatico. I know you. I can paint you again. If I do that, then you're going to go to there and you're not going to go back there. So I didn't. They're just sort of a silhouette. So that's why this is really important, because you can get the urge to come in here. I didn't, there's a lot of, if you could see the better photo, sorry, but there's obviously a lot of this stuff. Hello. Momento, pause, rewind. A lot of lit tree branches, and boy, they were pretty.
Forget about the tree branches. I'm talking about the base of the.
I got some more in the base of the tree trunk, I know.
I wondered about ground shadows too.
Okay, and
She's painted.
so part of finishing of a painting is you come in and everything, whoops, that's in the wrong place. Hi, I don't like you. You go away, goodbye. Part of the finishing of a painting is you step back, you go get yourself a cup of tea or whatever, and then you come back and you say to yourself, all right, what is not working? What is working too much? Who's in here that's yattering too loudly and competing with the rest of the painting? That's not terribly neat and tidy. And actually, this would be better if it was this. So we do come in and we look for details like that, but you've got to resist the urge to go, I can paint trees like gangbusters, and those trees aren't very finished. And by golly, I'm going to make them gorgeous. Well, see, and that's what happens to me. So I know none of you have ever had this happen to you, but that happens to me. And then I have to, don't do the temptation to put too much going on in there. And so this light that's on this side of the tree trunk, and come to it, I could put it more dark on the other side. Notice how close this is to the edge of the picture plane. When I frame this bugger up, it's going to be that far from the edge of the frame. Now I really don't want a lot of sexy yada yada going on over there, because everybody's going to go, wow, look at those trees. That's the end of it. I could have just blown off the rest of this and done a couple trees. Okay? So I know that it was bothering you. I was totally serene. So other questions?
What was the initial media you used to put your
The
wash down?
The underpainting on this one just happened to be watercolor because I'm a watercolorist, and it was easy to slam down. I just did a painting that I don't think I entered in PS New Mexico, but I just did a painting and I did a hard pastel. And I can't remember if I alcoholed or wetted it or whatever it was. That's kind of what I did. So it depends on how much room I have to cover, what mood I'm in, but since I'm a watercolorist, I'm really comfortable with putting it down. Now, a lot of what you guys saw was things that were similar to the color that was going on top, yes? Not always, because sometimes I'll come in here and I might have put, a green under here, and just to give it, and for landscape paintings, doing, the red underpainting is the bomb diggity, because then there's something about, because the red and the green, and I know they're complements and yada, yada, blah, blah, but there's something about having just a touch of that. If it sparkles through, and it gives the whole painting kind of a doobity-doobity, as long as it doesn't look like the painting has developed a bad case of measles. So you have to be careful with too many red dots. So, other questions? Thank you. I hope everybody had a chance. Thank you very much. I have business cards, I've got flyers, I've got the portfolio with blah-bitty-blah. I've got a whole bunch of show and tell if you all want to come flip through and look at things. There's a number of snow paintings in here. And I'm looking to see if I have a pastel snow painting. I think they're all gone. But see, this is a pastel snow painting. Okay? But you can see where I've got those colors bouncing, kind of going back and forth, and that's sort of what I'm getting ready to do in there. This just happens to be, this is a plein air oil. Same thing. What I cared about was this line and this, what's going on. Well, let's get pastel over it. What was going on with this, and I really like, but notice the difference on, as I did the atmospheric perspective going to the back, and what happens back here compared to what's happening up here. So think about those things. And this one really had to do with the zigzag through the middle. It didn't have to do with the snow so much. I did this out there and it was a snowy day. What else have I got? I've got more in there. This is, what is this? This is also an oil, plein air. And so this guy, I loved the light dabbling across that river. So I stood out there. Lord love a duck. It was crazy. So, but I stood out there, but you can see the snow isn't as important in this one because my why is the river. So if something is a why, everything else is supporting cast. My why is those shadows. That means that all that snow and the trees and the tree trunks, all of that is supporting cast, which means it doesn't compete with the diva. Okay, so y'all come up, flip, and carry on. There's a bunch of this stuff you'll recognize. This is the Rio Grande Gorge. This is, I think that's up near Ghost Ranch. Yeah, I was going to say that's Ghost Ranch. Here you go.
Great job.